What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're discussing about the Canon 1DX Mark II. Now, you all know that this camera here has legit been my most reliable and most used camera for the last, 4 years, since I got it back in 2018. But that brings or poses the question, is the Canon 1DX Mark II usable and reliable in 2022? So just as a quick background and brief history about me and the Canon 1DX Mark II. So I got this camera back in December of 2018. So a little over almost 4 years ago. And I've used this camera for legit anything and everything when it came to photography and videography. And this past weekend or a few weekends ago, I was commissioned out to do an event which consisted of both photography and video. Now, typically, as of lately, I've been using the Canon EOS R, especially when it came to video, or even more so when it came to photography. Just shooting mirrorless, what that camera can do when it comes to photography is it's pretty stunning. But for this event in particular, I knew I was gonna be doing a lot of detail shots. So when it comes to shooting details, whether it's a wedding, an event, just B-roll for an Instagram video, I always shoot that in 120. Now, that's just me. That's just what I like to do, my style, my aesthetic when it comes to video. So of course, when it comes to shooting B-roll in 120, I like to do that on the 1DX Mark II, because when it comes to the EOS R, that 120 is trash. So I know I wanted to use this camera, thus I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to actually test out if this camera is still reliable, can still hold up and still take the test and beating of a full shoot when you're working 4+ hours on an event. So again, is the Canon 1DX Mark II a reliable camera in 2022? Well, I'm gonna go ahead and play the video that I actually shot for the client. This is the end product, so I'll let you all watch it and then kind of determine for yourself if this camera is a good camera.
We just want to show our appreciation for you for coming. I know some people came long and far and they have really busy schedules. So thank you for taking the time out of your day to come and celebrate with us and worship. Do you have anything to say?
No, you covered it. Thank you. That's it. Thank you. Yeah. Now you covered it.
That is the video that I actually sent out to the client. And from this footage, from this video, you can see that the 1DX Mark II can definitely hold its own in any video situation that you throw at it. However, there are two main points that I think that we should mention when it comes to actually shooting and using the 1DX Mark II for videography. Now, when it comes to shooting in 4K, like that entire video that you all shot was shot in 4K outside of the B-roll, which is 1080p. And for me personally, I don't really mind it because that B-roll is definitely still holds up and can be pushed to limits to go in good in the timeline when shooting in 4K. Now, back to shooting in 4K with the 1DX Mark II. So when shooting in 1080p, you have a MP4 file. However, when it comes to actually shooting in 4K, you no longer get that codec, but you get motion JPEG. Now, for me personally, that hasn't been a major issue for me because when it comes to actually color grading that footage, I know that I'm not able to push it to the extent when I'm actually shooting in a log format. But for me personally, I just make minor tweaks and adjustments here to, either add more contrast, take away a little bit of contrast, or, adjust the highlights and shadows ever so subtly. And those smaller adjustments definitely make a big difference when it comes to actually color grading your footage from the 1DX Mark II. But, if shooting motion JPEG is an issue for you or just isn't an option, then the 1DX Mark II might not be for you. Now, the second thing when it comes to shooting in 4K with the 1DX Mark II is that there is a crop when it comes to shooting 4K, and I think that crop is like a 1.3 crop or 1.4 crop, and you get that crop because it gives you the DCI 4K aspect ratio, which is 4096 by 2160. I think, and our traditional 4K aspect ratio is 3840 by 2160. So when it comes to shooting 4K on the 1DX Mark II, you definitely want to use a wide lens, as wide as possible. For me personally, I use the Canon 24mm, and that angle that we get from that setup is what you saw in this entire video. I think I did throw on the 35 for a few of those B-roll shots, but outside of that, the 24mm pretty much did all the heavy lifting. So again, those are kind of the two things that I think that should be mentioned. But again, as you can see from the footage that was actually shot and used with this, when paired with a stabilizer like the DJI Ronin gimbal, you can definitely get some smooth, steady shots, and the 4K holds up perfectly. Like these shots that I kind of use for the old VHS home video style, all of these shots were shot in 4K handheld at 24 frames a second, and I just throw on the extra grain in post to give it that aesthetic. So that brings us back to our original question: is the Canon 1DX Mark II a reliable and useful camera in 2022? Now, of course, I'm gonna be biased when it comes to using the Canon 1DX Mark II, because this camera legit has been my baby when it comes to videography. This camera started this YouTube channel, started my career as a quote-unquote full-time freelancer entrepreneur, and also shot my first documentary. So of course I'm gonna be biased and think that I can literally do anything and everything with this camera, but hopefully from the actual real world example that I gave you all can come to your own conclusion that if this camera is reliable and useful in 2022 in other event situations or Instagram situations or just content creation needs that you may have. But yeah, that'll do it for me in today's video. If this video was helpful for you in any type of way, please make sure to leave it a like so it's able to reach a larger audience and help others as we continue to grow in this world that we call filmmaking. And if you aren't already, please consider subscribing to the channel so that when other videos related to gear, documentaries, vlogs, shorts, tutorials, or whatever the case may be goes live here on the channel, you'll be the first to know. But until next time, peace. Yo, I'm sitting here looking at the camera and I am missing a small screw. Like, you see right here, I'm missing a screw. Like, it's a screw there, but not a screw there. How that happened? Not quite sure, but now my OCD is gonna be, this is gonna be bugging me. So let me see if I can find this.